I'll get one from that.
What do you need?
Agenda.
River was here when I left the courthouse here. They changed. She was like parked out there.
Good afternoon and welcome to the August 17, 2022 regular meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners. I am Dr. Althea Riddick, the 2022 chair of the board. I'm joined this afternoon by Commissioner Linda Hoffler, vice chair, Commissioner Jack Owens, Commissioner Ray Freeman, Commissioner Jonathan Craddock, the Honorable Philip Pitt-Gobbin, who is our county attorney. The county manager, Tim Wilson, will not be joining us this afternoon. We have a person that's helping us out in the absence of Ms. Jo Chestnut, who is the clerk to the board. I ask her to come to the podium and introduce herself.
Good afternoon to the commissioners, the town, I'm used to town, county attorney, and to the citizens of Gates County. My name is Pamela Hurdle. I am a retired town manager. I worked with the town of Hereford for 25 years, and in that course of years, I've started with the assistant to the town manager and retired as the town manager. And I did everything, all the service of the that a town or county can have, from wastewater to water to clerk to collecting payments, HR. I've done it. So I'm here helping the county while Ms. Chestnut is absent, and I'm a native of Gates County. I was raised, born and raised here. I was actually born in a house in Gatesville. So, and my maiden name is Wilson. So I'm very familiar with Gates County. It's good to be back home, even though I live in Hereford with my husband. He's a farmer. But it's good to be back in Gates County. So it's a pleasure to serve you in the absence of your clerk. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
Nice meeting you.
At this time, I'm going to ask Commissioner Jack Owens to lead us in prayer and pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the presence of each one here tonight, Lord, friend, citizen. Lord, we thank you for our board here, and we thank you, Lord, for Ms. Hurdle to helping us at this time. So, Lord, we pray that your good and perfect will take place tonight. Lord, we just ask all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
And if you will, say the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. And before I ask the commissioners for their adjustments or vote, the item 7A, adoption of proposed resolution authorizing infrastructure grant application, that will be removed from the agenda. Green Engineering, who's our consultant, is not ready to present that in draft form, and we will get that on the agenda at our September 7th meeting. The adoption of proposed Public Utilities Department Capital Improvement Plan budget will also be removed. Green Engineering is doing more work on that with our Public Utility Director, Brent Arnold. That will be rescheduled for September the 7th as well. Are there any more adjustments to the agenda?
I make A motion, we approve the agenda as adjusted.
And I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Hoffler and seconded by Commissioner Freeman that we accept the agenda as adjusted. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's approved. And I asked the commissioners when you speak to say your name. Ms. Hurdle is not familiar with your name. And I know she can see those, but she's trying to keep up with all the motions that we're making. So just help us out a little bit. Let me say I'm glad to see you here. The last meeting, I struggled with trying to keep up with the minutes and doing what I'm supposed to do. So even though it's videotaped and everything, it was a chore. So I appreciate it. The next is introduction of new employees. Clara Wicker, Community Employment Case Manager. Not here. Okay. Me, Parker Fleming, E911. I think that's been taken off. Dorothy Holland, Custodian. I don't see anybody from Buildings and Grounds. I don't see Dorothy Holland. I don't know what she looks like, but if you're here, will you raise your hand? All right. Moving right along. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. You see it on your agenda that you have with you. We have a request for refund, Finance Department, request for refunds, Tax Administrator, Timothy Moss, Willie Matthews, Gilbert Modlin, Mildred Griffin, Mary Harrell. Pension spiking report from the Gates County Board of Education. The budget amendment request fiscal year 23-002, budget correction, Kim Outland, Finance Officer, and budget amendment request fiscal year 23-003, budget correction, Chris Hill, Tax Administrator.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Owens makes a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented to us.
I'll second that motion.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we accept the consent agenda as presented. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is the public comment period. You had the opportunity to sign up on the sign-up sheet. Ms. Pam will call you to the podium as you have registered or signed in. If you have any handouts to give to the board, we ask that you give it to Ms. Pam, and she would hand them out to us. There is a clock that you can see on the monitor. It's 5 minutes. Each speaker has 5 minutes. And we are ready to begin. Ms. Pam?
Wade Askew.
Wayne Askew. You can
This
break.
is a paper, it's called Standard Set for Public Business.
Just give it to us, and then you can speak on it.
I don't have time. I have work to do to keep coming to the commissioners' meetings, but when I see things wrong, I have to show up. And there's been a lot of things going on that is just not right. And sometimes as Christians, we have to fight off the wolves to save the rest of the sheep. Now, I want to speak about the Unity Monument. The Unity Monument is a very good thing. I believe in racial harmony, and I believe we all should get along. But on the Unity Monument, there's a big mistake. Let's just say it's not just a big mistake, it's a lie. And in 1860, the economy here in North Carolina was booming. The economy was not affected whatsoever by slavery here in North Carolina. 30,000 free blacks lived here in North Carolina. 65% of the people here in North Carolina were non-slaveholding yeoman farmers. When the state started to succeed, North Carolina voted not to succeed, and especially to preserve the institution of slavery. North Carolina was mostly a Union state. So when Abraham Lincoln heard of that news, he promised North Carolina that he would not use force to bring any state back into the Union. So when South Carolina fired on Fort Sumter, what does President Lincoln do? He calls on North Carolina to send 75,000 troops into South Carolina to bring them back into the Union. Well, that, excuse my expression, pissed off the people all the way from the Atlantic Ocean to the Tennessee border, just about as bad as they're pissed off in Gates County today. And having said that, the Unionists, as well as the legislation in Raleigh met, they voted to succeed from the Union now because North Carolina has been betrayed. So what they voted to succeed was not to preserve the institution of slavery, but on the terms of the right to revolution or the terms to revoke. So these monuments here in North Carolina represent yeoman farmers that were totally against slavery. But even though they were betrayed by the President of the United States, North Carolina still succeeded. And having said that, that was a wrong that this Board of Commissioners done. And that needs to be corrected because it doesn't need to go the way it stands today. And having said that, that's a wrong that this Board of Commissioners, I believe, let go by, just like the way it treats our sheriff. Treats our sheriff just as nasty as anybody I've ever seen treated. And he's trying to defend the citizens of this county, and he can't even get the equipment to operate with. You bought a piece of land. We had a public hearing. 100% of the people were against the purchase of that piece of land. But you bought it anyway. That is just totally against the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Here we are, the country's in a recession, and what'd you do? You raised taxes. You have fired employees for over nothing, and then you lied about the reason you fired them. You govern the citizens. You govern the citizens of this county and the employees of this county with intimidation. You hired the wrong manager, a manager that has a very, very shady background, and I know because my cousin was the mayor of Nags Head. But not only that, you bully the employees and you bully the citizens of this county. Am I pissed off? Yes, I am, because I don't believe in none of this. I believe in a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and that is not what we have today in Gates County. And y'all not going to like what I got to say, and I'm going to say it anyway. To preserve the integrity of this county and to protect what little bit of the county that we've got left that we can work with, I'm asking for the four sitting in the middle. I'm asking for y'all's resignations.
Let me say something. I appreciate the comments that you come to the podium with. Those are your comments. You're entitled to them by statutory. But the civility in this meeting will be followed. We don't need all of that every time somebody comes to the podium. We hear you. We hear you. Now, if this continues, I'm gonna have to take a recess. We will be back, but I'm gonna take a recess so we can calm down and we can move on. Now,
we can't hear you back here, Madam Governor. The speakers are not working.
the speakers are not working?
No.
Mr. Curry? I will speak up. Everybody up here speak up when you have the microphone, since they can't hear. What I just said is we need civility in the meetings. It's not going to be tolerated for all these catcalls. Just be civil. You have a right to your opinion and your comment. You really do. And we're trying to give you that right. So please, be civil, not only for this meeting, but those who are watching. Okay? That's all I ask. You're entitled to your opinions and your comments. Okay? Ms. Hurdle?
Willie Smith III.
Talk about a tough act to follow. Great afternoon, Chairman of the Board, Commissioners, Gates County residents. For those who do not know me, my name is Willie R. Smith III, Gates County DSS Director. I'm just coming here this afternoon to provide a brief update on the event we had last month regarding the diabetes screening. We partnered with the Eastern Virginia Medical School in regards to that, and wanted to provide some data that was provided to me after that from Ms. Michelle Reed. We had a total of 25 individuals that came in for screenings. 6 were males, 19 were females. The average age of the participants were 62 years old. We had 100% of those individuals screened having reported that they did have medical insurance, 11 with Medicare, 10 with private insurance, and 2 with Medicaid. In total, we had 60% of those individuals that had their HbA1c test result in a test outside of the normal range, and then a 40% rate of those who tested within the normal range. So I just want to take an opportunity to, one, thank the commissioners for allowing me to come up here and speak, as well as the Eastern Virginia Medical School, the Albemarle Food Bank for providing food bags to those individuals that did participate in the screening, as well as those Gates County residents that did participate in the screening. I really do thank you for that, and just be on the lookout for some upcoming events that we do have coming up that I'll definitely bring to the commissioners and the citizens' attention. So I just thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I have one question for Mr. Smith, if I could.
Yes, sir.
How does that range fit in with what you projected for Gates County citizens?
Say that one more time.
How does that range of positivity?
So what it goes into just the main reason why the Eastern Virginia Medical School reached out to us, noting that Gates County is within the diabetes belt based on what the CDC guidelines relate to that. So it just reiterates the importance of making sure those individuals that are diabetic, they get the proper care and nutritional needs that they need.
Okay, very well.
Thank you again.
Ms. Hurdle?
Edna Bright.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and board members. I have a kind of economic development type thing that I'm going to bring about. I'm in the process of updating some information for a grant, and I found out, of course you already know, we're represented in the tier with Tidewater, Virginia, which never should be. I don't know how we'll correct that. We've lost population by about 4,000 or 5,000 since the last census. We're down to 10,500 and some, I think is what one showed. And that's bad enough that we're losing that. We're in the top tier in the nation of house and home foreclosures. That shocked me. I wasn't aware of that one. And in the state, we're number 1 of foreclosures of properties and houses.
Yes, we are.
And that's bad. The fact that we don't have high-speed internet everywhere, and I haven't seen anything on the websites for either of those yet. We've either lost the grants that didn't go through or what, I don't know. That's hurting us. And a big blow to our community in Sunbury. First Citizens Bank gave us a, sorry folks, we don't need your business. If you want to do banking business with us, go to Elizabeth City. That's not right. We have people here that are not up with technology, that don't know how to scan a check with their phone. They're used to coming to the bank, cashing their check, getting a money order, and paying their bills. This is a big economic deterrent with no bank in Sunbury or that side of the county. You're either going to have to ride 12 miles to Gatesville, 30 miles to Elizabeth City, 30 miles to Ahoskie, or 30 miles to Suffolk. And the state employees credit unions here, but then you have to be a member, a state employee, and have a family member, so that doesn't help us. That is a big thing that we need your help on when we look at economic development. So please, if you can do anything to help the bank, their letter was pretty nasty. It said, no, we don't care about your money. I don't know if anybody banks with First Citizens other than myself, but that letter is kind of disheartening when I read that. It's the big corporation that's kind of flipping us off here in small counties. And the next thing is, with my grant writing, I ran into, there's something that with FEMA is called a Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Ours is a little bit out of date, and when I do the FEMA grants or any other grants, that's 2 points toward us getting a grant. So if a fire department our size, and we tie with the point system, If I've got a CWPP that's up to date, I gain 3 points. So that gives us the grant. So we need to look at, and I've talked with the fire marshal, and he hasn't been aware of that, but I made him aware. So that's something that emergency management, that's something that North Carolina Wildlife, it's the Forest Service of North Carolina, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and U.S. Wildlife Service, and they all go together on that, come up with a plan, and that needs to be updated. Thank you.
Okay.
Again, I've got one question.
Okay.
Madam Chair. In your research and when you were looking at foreclosures plus the decline of population, did you see any reasons why?
Moving out, and well, one thing it showed was, that didn't make sense was, I think the average median income is 49,550.
47,000.
Okay, 47. And then the other part of the county is 33,000. One part was 33,200, another part was 35 something in there. So lack of employment and high wages, which they say don't add up.
It's because a lot of people work outside the county and
Right.
they draw big salaries.
I understand that. Everybody goes to Suffolk to work, or
Or
Newport
Nucor.
News, Nucor, and that hurts us.
I will provide that article to the members of the board. I read it last week, and I was surprised to see the high rate of foreclosures in Gates County, leading the pack. And one of the things that I have seen, since you brought it up, and I have the mic right now, is that the northern part of Gates County that butts up against Virginia, Suffolk, that
Yep.
area, they're coming down. And they're looking at that. There's one of the reasons why it's skewed like that. That is the projection of the future of where the growth is going to come to Gates County. And that's not going to be controlled except for planning and zoning, because they're coming.
They're coming.
And when you look at the salaries, you're exactly right. People can't make the wages in the county, so they live up in Virginia somewhere or wherever, or out of the county, say out of the county. And they bring those high wages back. That's why we're in Tier 2 instead of Tier 1. That doesn't help us with some of the grants that we could apply for, or used to could apply for. We can't anymore because it's so competitive. So yes, I've seen that. We have depopulation. We have brain drain. When students complete high school, they don't come back, they leave, because there's hardly anything to come back to. So we know all of those statistics. We are working on, we are aware of them, most of it.
Right.
Your grant writing is important. Please feed that, what we can do to advocate for those grants that the fire marshals need or the fire stations need, because we need all the grants we can get. But most of the time, we don't, just like you said, the points, we can't make the points. They say the grants are good, but we don't, it's so competitive and we're so small.
It's so small.
So it's just work with the fire marshal and let us know as a board what we can do to help bring those grants that you're writing, because we need those.
Yes, we do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Ms. Hurdle?
Joseph Allen.
All right, how y'all doing?
Hello, Mr. Allen.
All right. I got a couple of things here I'd like to go over. Thanks for the time, and we'll get started here. I may need my glasses. Well, of course, I guess everybody pretty much knows me, but I'm from the Drum Hill area. I've been here pretty much close to 70 years in Gates County. So I'd like to start off with all my family had gone to school here, mother, daughters, son, daughter, and my grandkids, okay? And I've got both of them right now. They're both on the honor roll at school, so I'm proud of that. And my daughter had brought up some concerns, and of course my daughter's a nurse at OBC. Anyway, some of her concerns is the budget cuts to the school system, support staff, they're losing jobs. 30-plus kids in classes. And of course, y'all planning on building a housing project across from the high school or community center. How will a low-income housing complex bring in more money to help the teachers and the resources? What will expanding the 911 coverage cost to the county? What is the burden of the water and sewage system? Also, this need for assistant county manager. Of course, we only have about 10,000 plus people in Gates County. And because larger locations may have an assistant, but we have spent $600,000 for the land across the community center. What is your plan for development? In low-income houses, but we have to spend now $18,000 to come up with a plan that the study should have been done before we bought the property or purchased the land. It seems that, well, to talk about it, the cart before the horse is what's happening, is with the management. The commissioners have done a very poor job of thinking things through. Supposedly, it's for the people in the county who need decent housing, but who's to say with a grant or whatever we try to do with that land that we're not going to be stuck again? And of course, if it was federal housing, we may be a sanctuary county of moving people from across the board. Higher taxes in the middle of recession, which makes no sense when gas, utilities, groceries, and just the cost of living has gone up. People are struggling just to make ends meet. It seems that our management has no clue to what is going on. Need to repeal the tax is what I suggest. Another matter I want to bring up is the public denigration of an official, of a county official. It was not very professional and of course should have been done behind closed doors with commissioners. I feel like our management or leadership that we have on the board here should resign. Thank you.
Emily Truman.
Emily Truman, Gatesville Voting District. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, "We did it ourselves." Lao Tzu. How powerful is that? We did it ourselves. No mention of I. When a leader, especially one that is a part of a group, says I more than they say we, you are not acting for the good of a group, but for accolades for yourself. John Maxwell said, "A good leader is a person who takes a little more than his share of the blame and a little less than his share of the credit." While I'm going with quotes, let's try this one. The supreme quality of leadership is integrity. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Integrity, the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, moral uprightness, the state of being whole and undivided. A couple of months back, Gates County held a unity ceremony. A synonym for integrity, by the way of the second definition, is unity. So what does unity mean? It is the state of being united or joined as a whole. Unfortunately, while I thought Gates County was on that path, it doesn't appear to be so. I was incredibly disappointed to view a recording yesterday from the weekend. In this video, all that could be heard was us versus them, and it was truly disheartening. And as much as it infuriated me to hear, I was glad I was afforded the opportunity to watch it, to truly see the hearts of those that were speaking. Tonight, I'm here to plead with you. Asking has done no good, and encouraging moral and ethical behavior has fallen on deaf ears. So tonight, I'm here to plead with you. Quit destroying our county. Quit making decisions that cost the citizens. Quit demeaning and degrading county employees that have served this county. Quit casting blame on those of the past. You want to talk about forward thinking? Then move forward by choosing better communication, better training, and better opportunities for the employees of this county, and quit trying to find a scapegoat behind you. You can't have it both ways. Ovid said, "A ruler should be slow to punish and swift to reward." It's often said that people are picking on you all, commissioners. I disagree. No one is picking on you. We're holding you accountable to your words. We're holding you accountable to your oath. An oath to work together for the betterment of our county, together. Because as Andrew Carnegie recognized, no man will make a greater leader than one who does it, no man will make a great leader who wants to do it all himself, or to get all the credit for doing it. As for acknowledging a board that should not all be of the same mindset, I don't disagree. Differing views is okay, encouraged. Having a difference of opinion is okay. Lording over others is not. Choosing to do what you want to do as an elected official instead of what the majority are asking for is not. Encouraging others to vote your way by implying various things behind the scenes is not. Being rude and tossing around titles is not going to win anyone over. It only further divides. Each and every one of you on that board has agreed to an oath. Each and every one of you is expected to be humble and to be, not act, but to actually be morally and ethically correct as you live your day-to-day lives. You are held to a higher standard. A great person attracts people and knows how to hold them together. A quote from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe: "If you are not seeing people held together, it is time to question your effectiveness as a leader." General Colin Powell said, "Great leaders are almost always great simplifiers who can cut through argument, debate, and doubt to offer a solution everybody can understand." So this statement, directed to our county manager who's not here, he can watch it and I'll email it to him, has yet to prove that he is a great one. There are far more that don't understand his decision to terminate a longtime and loved employee than that do. That was hardly a solution that you should be proud of, because we certainly aren't proud of him for it. Nelson Mandela said, "It is better to lead from behind and to put others in front, especially when you celebrate victory when nice things occur. You take the front line when there is danger. Then people will appreciate your leadership." Sir, I can only hope that your position is in danger as you have continued to make poor decisions from your office that is clearly lacking an open-door policy. Mr. Wilson could be a lovely man. I don't know him outside of his seat behind that desk, but his leadership skills are lacking. It's rumor that insubordination is the reason he likes to cite when dismissing employees. I need to now ask the board, when will you as a board come together? When will you as a board come together and dismiss Mr. Wilson for his insubordination to you all? Because if I recall correctly, and I promise I do, he has been asked multiple times by multiple board members to answer questions that he's failed to answer in a timely manner. Some of those answers, I question if they've been supplied as of yet. If you need the instances better laid out for you, I'd be happy to email them to you. And lastly, I want to leave you with this, a quote from Jim Rohn. "The challenge of leadership is to be strong, but not rude. Be kind, but not weak. Be bold, but not bully. Be thoughtful, but not lazy. Be humble, but not timid. Be proud, but not arrogant. Have humor, but without folly." And just real quick for a moment, communication between the departments would be greatly appreciated, as he mentioned, speaking with the fire marshal, because I personally know the fire marshal has not been informed of new businesses and such in the county as he should have been. So perhaps communication within yourselves should be worked on as well.
Ms. Hurdle?
Anthony Saunders.
Good evening. I lost my train of thought, but anyway. Anthony Saunders, 798 Willington Road, Gates, North Carolina. Used to be called Taylortown back in the day. I've lived in Gates County for 64 years now. I've been a lifelong citizen. I've been an advocate. I've just tried to do what's right. My parents raised me with a goal of trying to help people and do for us. So that's what I've tried to do all my life. I'm up here basically to give an update on the 4 homes. You heard us talk about it several times, about the 4 homes that the county is providing for 4 families. Good to say tonight that 2 of the homes have been completed. One of them, the residents have moved in. The other ones, there's a couple little glitches, like a ceiling fan or something that has to be adjusted. So as soon as they get all that done, we'll have 2 families
in their homes. I was fortunate enough to be at one of the homes the other day when the family received the key. That was a good feeling. The family was excited. We were excited as far as working with the county manager and the board of getting these homes. It's been a long struggle. We run into a couple of blocks that we had to go around, get around, but we're steady moving forward. The third home is on Wilton Road, which is my road. They have poured the foundation. They have laid all the blocks. All the ridge plates have been completed. And now I think the only thing they're waiting on now is the crane service for the crane to come in and actually pick the home up and set it down. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, Mr. Jones, who's the homeowner, he will be in his home. As far as the fourth home, which is in Commissioner Craddock's district, we're still working on that, again, with the county manager and the board. We ran into a couple of little blocks there. We're working on that. So hopefully very soon the fourth home will be completed and we'll move forward from there. The Gates County Housing Department, you don't hear a lot about them, but believe me, they're working behind the scenes trying to improve homes here in our county. A lot of the money comes in through grants and other means, so sometimes it's a slow process, but we don't want people to think that we have given up. I work with the Housing Committee on occasion of trying to make sure there is a list of people who have requested assistance. They're working diligently trying to get to as many people as possible. So again, I'll give a shout out to the Housing Department. Like I said, a lot of people don't see a lot, but a lot of work is going on. And I just thank the committee, the county manager for pushing this. We've been working on this for almost 3.5 years. It shouldn't have taken this long, but we did. But we're moving forward. We're staying positive. And if there's anything that the Housing Committee can do, or any citizens that need assistance, please contact the Gates County Housing Department. Thank you.
Ms. Hurdle?
Earl Roundtree.
Oh, bear with me, I got to get it dry. That's why I want to quit coming, right? I got 4 points that I want to make, and then I'll shut up. But this is the saddest meeting I've ever been to. Jack, has been over 50 years that I've been going to county commissioner meetings. And this tonight is the saddest situation that I'm here. A few years ago now, right across the street over here, I was one of the people that asked Jack Owens to run. And I gave Jack Owens a little bit of money. I don't know if he remembers it, and he won. And he's been here ever since. But the first point I'm going to make is Natalie Roundtree, define of Natalie Roundtree. I'm going to tell you right now, that really got to me. Because if she was doing something wrong, why didn't you tell us what she was doing wrong? Did you tell her what she was doing wrong? I don't know. I say it on Facebook and I'll say it again here. It looked like it all a plan to me. But I had seen a lot of county managers around in northeastern North Carolina, met with them, talked with them. And I didn't ever find one any nicer than Natalie. And I am a person, I'm not going to stand up here with Christianity on my shoulder. I do not forgive and I do not forget. Next was the hiring of Wilson. Now, I don't know, it's my opinion, and all of this is to my opinion. I know his background. I was given his background. There was a folder done on his background. It's not hard to find. Wade even mentioned part of it. And y'all hired him anyway. And people say to me, why did they hire him? And I said, that's a good question. Why did they hire him? When I knew it, other people knew his background and knew the kind of person he was. Next thing I want to mention, and this really gets next to all of you, is the fact that the high sheriff, y'all don't use that term anymore, but I know what the high sheriff is, and of course the high sheriff comes back. Ms. Hoffler has been a history teacher, knows the old English term. This is where the sheriffs come from, was England. But anyway, I'm assuming, but I don't want to assume, that everybody here knows that the sheriff, let's forget the sheriff is the highest ranking official in the county. I'm going to say that one more time. The sheriff's the highest ranking official in the county. It's not Tim Wilson, it's the sheriff. What in the Constitution of the state of North Carolina, what is the one office that's in the Constitution of North Carolina that has to be elected? That's a sheriff. I didn't know that until this week, but that's the sheriff. He's the highest ranking. Now, here's the whole point. If any of you in here been in the military, you understand the chain of command. The CO of a ship needs to talk to the chief, or the chief needs to talk to the CO, whichever way you want to look at it. If the sheriff needs to talk to the county manager should go over to the sheriff's office, because the sheriff outranks him. That's what you call chain of command. Instead of sitting up here and making him make some kind of appointment, and don't even talk to him at the commissioner meeting about needing a car. And I wanted to say that if we got money enough to spend $200,000 on a bunch of worthless land, why don't we have enough money to get the sheriff some cars? I mean, does this make sense to anybody? Maybe I'm just a little bit off. In my final minute or two, I want to bring up one more thing. This is old business, but I said I do not forgive and I do not forget. And I am shocked to think as of today, Mr. Craddock, you're not here long enough, so this is over. You don't worry about it. These are the rest of the people. Shocked to think what they did to Diane Hendricks. And everybody in the county has been shocked. But I'm going to call out Linda Hoffler and Jack Owens. Ray's a lame duck. We know that, Ray. But real quickly, let me say, what made me the most, that was a planned setup, that was planned. Now, I don't know if you commissioners knew that, or just the chairman knew that. It should have been handled differently. But what I am getting ready to say in closing of this with Ms. Hoffler and Mr. Owens, you are responsible for the Diane Hendricks thing, because y'all are experienced, you've been there, and what you should have done was call a point of order, and said, Madam Chairman, there's a point of order, this is out of line, and we should discuss this in closed session. But y'all sit there like bumps on the log and did nothing. So you are just as responsible as Ms. Riddick. Thank y'all.
Ms. Hurdle?
David Forsythe.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Members of the public, commissioners. I was going to read a statement completely, but I feel compelled after hearing all these other folks to point out that most of what I was going to say sort of reinforces what Mr. Earl and Alan and some of the others have already said. But I do feel compelled to point out, and I'm a little, I guess, set off by the discussion about people in the northern part of the county and part of Tidewater. I came to this county when I was 17 years old, back in like 1977. I've got two grown daughters that went through the Gates County school system. I got two kids that are now going into middle school right now, one in high school, big age difference between them all. Feel like I've been a long-term member of the community, but I've also working for the federal government, had the opportunity to live overseas in Italy for 6 years, in Japan. I've actually interacted with Italian government officials, city officials, had to go through interpreters as an engineer and building stuff over there. You've had to interact with city councils. And that goes for Japan. And quite frankly, the one thing I want to stress, the iteration is the behavior of treating employees publicly the way it was done. I've been cursed out by Italian union officials who referred to my mother as a street whore. And quite frankly, I didn't feel as insulted then as to watch some of the behavior of treating an employee. Whether they make mistakes or not, we're all human. And to see that is pretty bothersome, to say the least. And so I haven't come to these meetings. I watch them. I'm one of those people that likes to do the the YouTube or the Facebook thing and see it and see comments from others like Earl and many others. But, I mean, felt compelled to come and say something about it because it reflects on all of us. And I love saying I'm from Gates County. When I go to work in Norfolk and I'm close to retiring finally, I don't hesitate to say I'm proud to be from Gates County. It's not a thing of shame for me. But I do feel like sometimes people want to say, oh, well, you're not really local. You haven't been here your whole life. Yeah, but I've been here for 43 years, you know, and I have a 27-year-old talks like he has a better right to say what's right or wrong. I'm an American. I've lived overseas, and I've always felt proud of being an American. And coming back here, whether I'm from Norfolk originally or Virginia Beach or a Hosky or Murfreesboro or anywhere else, I'm a member of this community, and I'd like to see people treat each other with respect regardless of their previous or initial location. We're all Americans. We should treat each other with respect. And that seems to have gone out the window these days with Republicans and Democrats fighting it out. So I do want to read this this part of this statement. I'll leave out the ugly stuff at the end since it's been said. But being a public servant, whether elected or hired, can be at least challenging or at most horrific. I know y'all folks get abuse. I've seen it. I've heard it. I know that. So and that's why I have to say immediately, I have no expectation, no plans, no want to have a publicly elected position or anything like y'all have. I want to say that up front. I know it can be tough. But it's still the same thing, is that many of the elected positions, some people use their elected positions for self-gratification, to wield power or authority over others. Some in positions of authority in political parties go to extremes to maintain their fists clearly gripped on that authority. They don't make decisions based upon the best welfare for those they serve, but for what they believe others should want, or maybe just what they want, and that's wrong, and we all know it. Many politicians use their Christian beliefs as a shield or sword to hide behind when they get in trouble for their actions. Many claim their beliefs or faith that they have never shown or seemed to demonstrate by any of their actions outside of claiming it. That's just as bad and shameful in my view. I mean, I was actively a church youth leader, a deacon in the church for many years, and it annoys me to hear people use their Christian beliefs as a shield. It has, in my opinion, again, as representing the government of the United States in many cases, you don't see that happen, but we seem to have that more and more nowadays. People try to use that. I don't like that. It bothers me. Take responsibility for your actions. Don't try to use your God, or my God, to defend you and your actions. Okay, and I'd like to say that I'd like for the clarity. I think that's the whole thing, is this clarity. Nobody seems to know what's going on. I could get more from a translator explain to me what's happening in a Japanese government meeting than I can get from reading everything that's put out. The newspapers are horrific in what we get for Gates County. What goes on Facebook is terrible. The explanations I hear here are terrible. We don't really know anything. We get less information right now in Gates County as American citizens than I could get as a foreigner in a foreign land with a translator interpreting it. And that bothers me to see that. So my younger children could go through the school system. My two older daughters tell me all the time, Dad, make sure you supplement what they're getting. Gates County, the school systems were great. We were wonderful. They loved, back when Sunbury Elementary was still open, two older girls went through Sunbury, then T.S. Cooper in middle school, and they played sports. And I coached baseball for several years at Easton's Crossroads. I coached basketball in the church leagues for years. And they tell me, they say, Dad, it's just not the same anymore. We hear that from our friends that are raising kids in Gates County. It's not the same environment anymore. Make sure you supplement your kids, the little kids, more so they don't grow up in an environment of this kind of compact, we'll do what we want, we're going to tell only what we want to tell, and we'll abuse people in public. And so I just ask y'all to maybe try and be a little more forthcoming. Probably people would support a little bit more of what was going on with a little more explanation. Market your decisions better, or at least allow people to give input. But the public humiliation thing, man, that was bad. That was really bad. I haven't seen anything like it, and I've seen a lot of stuff around this world. So, thank you.
Ms. Earl?
John Kittrell.
Good evening. I'm going to be brief tonight. I'm advocating that you supplement the Sheriff's Department on the vehicles. I stood up at the same podium just a few months ago and advocated for the same thing. If you got about a dozen vehicles in the Sheriff's Department or any kind of law enforcement office, you need to replace 2 new ones every single year. So go ahead and project it. Next year, to next year, to next year, to next year, you're going to buy 2, because if you don't, you're going to end up in the situation we're in now. This is not the first year this has happened. I've been at the podium here and across the road multiple times in the last 10 years about this subject. It's going to bite you again if you don't go ahead and do it every year. Thank you.
Ms. Earl?
J.D. Harrell.
J.D. Harrell? Oh, okay. Okay, come.
Good afternoon.
Mhm.
I'm Joe Harrell from Ewell, North Carolina. Know all of you, went to school with most of you. And I was born in Suffolk, Virginia, smuggled back to Gates County 68 years ago. Been here all my life. I've retired maintenance director for the school system, and as you know, always tried to get the best result for the dollar input. We've had some mighty fine employees, homegrown people with multi-skills, to take a whole lot of nothing and make a lot out of it. I've also been the backup wastewater spray irrigation operator for the county when they didn't have one. Had a spray irrigation and a wastewater license since the early 80s. I owned and operated a plumbing business, operated in 7 counties around here. And until Edgar Mitchell came into the inspections office, Gates County was the most difficult county to work with over plumbing code and permits. And so I don't know what the current situation is. Since I retired, I've largely pretty much gone off the grid, but I've always cared a lot about this county. And so I'm going to follow with a few notes from what I had to say. In my plumbing business, Edgar was the most professional, common sense, and fair enforcement officer that I dealt with. And then also with that, I dealt with Diane Hendricks. No more friendly and helpful. And so I didn't know she'd been let go till today. That's a sad situation. In the last time I addressed the commissioners was about the statue across the street and the heritage behind it and the horrific blood that Gates County paid in that conflict of the Civil War. And we had Union and Confederate soldiers. My great-great-granddad, he was with the Confederacy until he was a POW. His dad was slaughtered in a POW camp, and then my great-great-granddad joined the Union and went up into the Dakotas and worked for telegraph and stagecoach security till the end of the war. And he took a lot of bullying when he came home for his history, and all he wanted to do was be like Gates County, be left alone, be free, and have a good place to live. And he made his impact here, because his son was the store manager for the Merchants Mill Pond State Park, and a bill of sale from M.D. Harrell, Mr. Duke Harrell, is up on the wall across in the bathrooms. And so from that meeting, the people came up here that day. It was mostly about fox pens. They wanted jobs. White people, black people, purple people, we wanted jobs. Gates County, when I was a kid, was a bustling county of communities of people that worked together and had little things going on, some businesses, car dealers. My granddad Smith owned a Chrysler Plymouth DeSoto place right there where the fire station is. And so his health went down and he had to sell it. So in order to do that, we need to expand the tax base. And we all know that raising taxes ruins the tax base and runs people away. So with that, we all know that you use common sense, led by Christian principles. And so I've been a wastewater here since the 80s. I've been a wastewater operator since the 80s over at Farmers Chemical and died at R.J. Reynolds. And I came in to help the school line on their wastewater situation. And then we have paid, I work with Bud and Timmy, they're backing them up. We paid experts to come in and tell us that that soil in that part of the county was bad, when we already knew it was bad. And so in my tenure with the previous commissioner meetings and school board engineer meetings, the engineers and the manager of director of public inspection engineer came and told the board, he said, too many times he's seen it, when a local person with experience, with full accreditation and license was not listened to, so they went and paid tens of thousands of dollars for an expert to come and study the situation and tell them the same thing. And so you can't keep doing that. And so I know people mean well, but engineers with this site out here at the Eastern Crossroads, I went out there with them when they were doing soil samples for the middle school, and he told me, he said this from Gatesville all the way out past Eastern Crossroad, it's a clay base down real deep and it won't hold weight. And so like the credit union, you have to add a lot of extra weight to the soil. You have to overbuild the foundations, and that way you're adding expense. So what are you going to do? You got a bad piece of land, you're going to have to put a lot of money into it. And then to bail out a realtor that couldn't sell it, that's irreprehensible. And so I know you mean well, but with us in struggling for financial situation here in the county, raising the tax base, spending money like that, I hope it works out. So listen to the citizens of the county, and then use our work ethic. We have a great geographical location close to the port, closer to the growing area in Elizabeth City. These politicians run through here of all denominations, and they got a trunk full of money, and they come in here and give us a quarter, and we jump up and down and happy because we're so desperate we get the bait. It's not right. So we had this geographical location to the port we could use. We could locate tax-paying businesses to the county, not the businesses that are going to run out of a grant. God bless a grant, but it's going to run out, and then who's going to keep it up? Put your county manager to work. From what I'm reading in the paper, he's insulating himself back there behind layers of staff. We ran this county with a county manager that was did multiple things before. So Gates County has good past. And then lastly, in closing, go back to don't take the bait of federal programs that make federal caused problems come to our county. We don't need problems that we did not create. We can handle ourselves. We're good working people. Thank you very much.
Ms. Hurdle?
Reba Green Holly.
Good afternoon. I'm Reba Green Holly, Gates, and I'm here to talk about the NTI grant that was submitted for broadband in Gates County about a year ago. And it was a grant submitted through Gates County with Roanoke Connect as a partner. And it took a while for it to go through. It was a federal grant to bring some more broadband to Gates County. And it went on and on and on past the deadline for when they said that it would be announced. And then we were contacted to provide additional information, which we did. And then it went on and on and on again, and we waited and waited, and we finally heard that we were not funded. So we asked for a session to hear about a critique on the grant to see if we did anything wrong and if we could make any improvements on the grant. So we met a couple weeks ago with the person in DC to talk about that particular grant. And the grant was to extend broadband in Gates County to additional homes. Well, when we got through, On that call was Kathy Davis from Roanoke Electric, Bo from Roanoke Connect, Vice President Roanoke Connect, myself, and Dr. Riddick. It went through 3 rounds of scoring, and we made it through the first round where they made sure everything was done properly for the grant. We made it through that round. Then they looked at some of the parameters of collaboration, et cetera, and we made it through that round with proper scoring. So we made it through to the round where they looked at, do we want to fund them? Well, lo and behold, we had a great grant, no problems. There were no issues. What was the issue we didn't get funded? We didn't have enough households. Well, we're looking at her like, what do you mean we didn't have enough households? This is a rural county. Where are we supposed to get some more households from? And we had a long discussion about, you tell us to collaborate, which we did. You tell us you're going to fund rural counties. So what is the new rule now? Because when you have rural counties, you do not have so many households per square mile. Where are we going to get more households? Do we need to start counting the ducks and the alligators? And we said that to them. Because we are not building any more houses so we can have houses per square mile like you do in urban areas. So if you're going to fund rural areas, how are you going to use houses per square mile against rural areas? And of course, she's not the one that makes those decisions, so we told her we understood that, but you need to take this back to the powers that be, because we're tired of hearing, you had a wonderful grant, but. So at that point, Dr. Riggett spoke up, and I would like to say that in all the years of writing grants for Gates County, this is the first that we have a person at the table who is speaking up for us as citizens of Gates County, who is letting it be known that we as citizens of Gates County are tired of hearing the same old thing, but a different day. Tired of hearing, you did great, but you did this, but. So Gates County is at the table now. I don't know how many times I have been to meetings and people ask, well, what's Gates County doing? Where's the Gates County representatives? And I'm like, all I can say is I'm here. But now we have some people here that are at the table representing Gates County and are speaking up, trying to get us funds for broadband, for housing, for wastewater, for the things we need to live that we have not had for years, people, for years. And now they are hearing it. And they're hearing it from people who are not going to stop talking, who are not going to stop saying, Gates County needs this. And when that girl got through on that meeting, she was shocked because she was not expecting to hear that from us. Because we are tired of going to the table, putting a grant down that's great, and not getting broadband. So we're going to keep trying, we're going to keep writing the grant. But they have heard, we're tired of you telling us we don't have enough households to get the grant. And we don't have the deep pockets, we told them. We are tired of the same ISPs getting the same money to not deliver the service. We're tired of it. Why do you keep giving the money to the same people to not deliver the service or to deliver service that is not good? So they've heard it. We're going to keep saying it. Dr. Riddick is at that table. She is still saying it. We're still going through same troubles with the GREAT grant. We still have not heard if we're getting the GREAT grant. We're still waiting and waiting. I don't know if you've heard, but the first GREAT grant that came out, the rule was work with a group of collaborative counties, pick your ISP, which everybody did. Gates County went in on a 15-county collaborative. We picked Roanoke Connect and put up money. Everybody had to put money in the game, and you had to do that, and then you get picked. And they gave, Bertie announced it, and then they told Bertie, oh, we gave you another ISP, and guess what? You're gonna have somebody different, and that ISP has told you, you gotta spend $700,000, $200,000 more, and we're gonna give you less households than what you told. So Bertie is hot about that, and we're waiting and hoping they don't do that to us.
Ms. Pam?
Madam Chair, that is the list of signees, but I do have a letter that was given me
Oh,
to
okay.
me to read.
Okay.
And it's from...
Can you speak up? I don't know if I can hear you in the back or not.
Okay.
Come to the podium.
It's an email from Patrick Martin. Commissioners, I am unable to attend Wednesday meeting because I am on shift at the fire station. I write this because of some disturbing facts. Fact one, some of you on this board feel threatened by our law enforcement personnel. I know we live in uncertain times, but what I am certain of, and that there is nothing to fear from our deputies nor our sheriff. The only thing to fear is the truth that we'll be speaking about. Wait a minute. Let's see here. The only thing to fear is the truth that will be spoken about the mistreatment and the lack of support by the board and the county manager. In case you've forgotten, then look all the way to your left. That commissioner on the end works for the sheriff department and has been in support of making things right in this county. It is a great thing when employees attend these meetings to see if their leadership support them regardless if they have a badge or not. Fact two, there is a great divide by our board and our sheriff's office. This is 100% unacceptable. I guess that should be in case you live under a rock and didn't hear, a press release came out this month. This year, to date, the number of officers shot and killed injured or killed in North Carolina is 11. 5 in the month of August alone, and we have several more months to go. Yet despite those statistics and the lack of support from our board, our sheriff's office is out there 24/7, 365, defending and protecting us from the crime despite the prejudice displayed by the two parties mentioned. Just this month, a fugitive from Suffolk blazed through the county after Suffolk PD couldn't stop this individual and was at the Gates County Sheriff's Office and it was the Gates County Sheriff's Office that put an end to the chase. One of the deputies put his life on the line to stop that chase and from preventing harm to innocent residents of Gates County. In doing so, he was not injured. He was injured. I am sure none of you reached out to see if there was anything y'all could do. Go to the sheriff's office Facebook page or have someone send you screenshots and you will see what our law enforcement has been doing. Truth number 3, the sheriff's office is down 2 vehicles. One was rammed in the police chase and the other has a blown motor. The other half of the fleet has over 100,000 miles on them. How can they continue to perform their duties to protect us from harm if they can't get there? Why has the county manager not allocated any money toward vehicle replacement? He sure is finding the money for assistance. There is a lot of area to cover in the county, and the miles rack up. You have to have a plan in place to replace all county vehicles. The sheriff's office really needs 4 vehicles today. That would replace the 2 that are down, and it would at least replace 2 with high mileage. This would in turn give them 2 spare for when the others are down for service. This is a recurring expense, so it should not be a surprise to the board. Too many things in the county have been put off for as long that it has caught up. That doesn't sound right. Too many things in the county have been put off for so long that is now caught up with the current board. Another thing that was brought up at the last meeting was the 911 center falling under the sheriff's office. I am in 100% support of that idea. Take nothing away from Mr. Sample and the work he has done, but the county has put a lot on anyone in that position. The definition of the emergency manager: emergency managers are professionals who are tasked with the responsibility of helping the community and organization anticipate hazards and vulnerability and undertake measures to more effective deal with the disasters. When does he have time to do that when you have him doing inspections, running E911, fire marshal, and whatever else you have him to do? Why did the county manager fire our only inspector via a letter in the mail to his house and dump those responsibility onto the EM? This is up to you to change the course and turn the disparity around. While you are at true, that doesn't make sense. I'm gonna just read it like I see it. While you are at it, search for another county manager. Since he left the island with Tom Hanks, he has caused an uproar with the employees of this county, and his lack of support for them has lowered the morale to an all-time low. This county and its employees have lost confidence in the ability to run the county effectively. If you can't see that and continue to support his agenda, then it's time for you to go. Lastly, I certainly hope your plans is not to put the sheriff on the stand and berate him like you did Ms. Hendricks. This would truly support what I have said in the beginning of this letter. I pray that you find clarity and it said no excuses for unacceptable behavior. I also would like to encourage a public apology to Ms. Hendrick. Respectfully, Patrick Martin.
Is that all? Ms. Pam?
That's it.
Now we will have commissioner comments. Commissioner Freeman?
Thank you. First of all, what I'd like to say is we certainly accept and enjoy hearing from our citizens. This is who we represent. We don't represent ourselves, we represent you. So we expect to hear from you, we like to hear from you, and we're certainly going to bring that to the board and bring that in front of you. And those of us that understand that are going to vote in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and sharing your opinions. It's always nice to hear from the citizens. I do have some announcements to make. This afternoon, we got a press release. Very good news for us. We were made aware of that economic activity in tourism sector is up across the state of North Carolina. And 5 of the key findings of the report, Gates County ranked among the top counties in 2 of those categories. Those 2 key findings were, in the top percentage of spending increase from 2020, Gates County ranked number 1 among all the counties with an 83% increase from the year before. In top counties for the percentage increase in tourism employment, Gates County ranked 2nd among all the counties with a 25% increase. And over the past year, I have been asked by Dr. Riddick to work with tourism. And of course, you know, Gates County was part of the Rural Tourism Recovery Pilot Program that the state is going to come in and help us with tourism to promote things here in Gates County. We also working with Visit NC Farms. We're working with the County Extension Director on ag tourism, working with North Carolina State University on a research project about how to enhance experiences here in the county, especially with the state park, Merchants Mill Pond. Ms. Smith is contacting some citizens for some input. And of course, Gates County joined the African American Experience in northeastern North Carolina, along with Washington and Martin, joining Camden, Chowan, Currituck, Dare, and Paquemiss and Pasquotank counties, which we have be a part of that significant program that they have started here that the state wants to duplicate across the state of North Carolina. So we are very involved with that. They were some of the things that were happening. And when we think about tourism, and it does bring people into Gates County. Now with COVID, a lot of people came to the county, you know, to be outside at Merchants Mill Pond and things like that. And when they return home, we hope that they will share the news about their experiences here in the county. And remember, the best advertising you can have is word of mouth. So we as citizens of the county need to expand our footprint in tourism to broaden the experiences that visitors can have. Think about what we can do. I was talking to Sarah Hill, Gates County native, who is the Dismal Swamp Visitor Center, and she said, "Ms. Hoffler, the only pamphlet I have about Gates County is Merchant's Mill Pond." Well, you know, we have a lot of things that we could do, make a pamphlet that encourage people to come. So when we get working with this Rural Tourism Recovery Pilot Program, we are one of those counties, they're going to come in and help us learn how to promote what we already have and what we can have in the future. That's something, you know, we've been working on quietly, but it has begun to pay dividends. So, also I'd like to remind you, gyms is this week, Saturday, it is 8:30 till 10. 8:30 to 10 is the food drive pickup. And we need workers on Friday morning at 9 and Saturday morning at 7. Thank you for coming.
Commissioner Hoffler, you were supposed to do an update on the convenience site.
Oh, convenience site. Last time, I believe Mrs. Askew asked about cooling pads and the chicken houses. I followed up. I thought I knew the answer that night, but I wanted to make sure I checked with the authorities to make sure I was correct in that. The cooling pads and the all things from the poultry farms are considered commercial, because even though they're light in weight, that it's bulky, and it was a decision of the PGC board, which we are part of, that they fill up the containers very quickly, and so they are going to be treated as commercial. However, they did waiver the fees for the trays, plastic trays, and cooling pads when taken to the transfer station. That was a concession they made to the farmers. So that was, it was considered commercial, just like any other commercial business.
And thank you for the update. Commissioner Owens?
On the economic development comments in our packet this month, it shows that our sales tax revenue is $181,000 above our budget projections. So that's a good thing, and that's an example of us shopping at home on the economic development avenue. Also, that's what we're trying to do. The more businesses that we can bring to the county, those projections and those revenues will expand. So we're excited about that. Our county is seeking assistance because we are a rural county, and a lot of rural counties are having water issues. Brad Hurdle is doing a great job to help us. Excuse me.
Brad Arnold?
Oh, excuse me, yes. Brad Arnold is doing a great job helping us push information forward to the state that they're requesting for that assistance. So, so we're moving forward in that. And thank you for being here.
Commissioner Craddock?
All right, once again, thank you all for coming out tonight, and I'd like to hear from you. I've had the opportunity in the last couple months to go to New Bern for my job outside of here. And I got trained on how to teach a class for communication. The most important part of communication is hearing what the people are saying. But more important than hearing what the people say is listening. I hear you, I'm listening to you. I just need one more vote. Thank y'all.
Okay. Chair update. On September the 21st, that's the next regular meeting that we are going to have, at 5:30, the Office of the Sheriff will present the planning and vision to the citizens of Gates County as this board consider transferring daily operations of 911 under his daily supervision. No one's berating anybody. If this is a very important service, your first responders, and we want to make sure that the citizens hear from the sheriff before we make that decision. He has a plan, he has a vision. I've been on a virtual meeting with the 911 State Board. Ms. Harris asked to talk with me. So I zoomed in to talk with her, the regional director, and the finance officer. They had questions about a meeting they watched and some of the comments that were made. That meeting lasted an hour. I didn't reach out to her. She reached out to me as chair of this board. She wanted also Jason Sample on the line, as well as the county manager. I listened. We dialogued together. It wasn't a monologue. She made herself clear. I made myself clear that we are seriously considering transferring the operation of 911 to the office of the sheriff. But it's not going to be turning the keys over. She made it clear that the board, or the county rather, not the board, the county would maintain legal liability for whatever happens over there or in the entire county. She made it clear that the budget stays with the county, it's county funds. She made it clear that administratively, that policies and procedures should be followed. I got so many files of statutes and regulations that I had a few, but now I have them all. We made it clear that we know what we're doing and we're going to transfer if it meets approval of this board. We also talked about other things relative to 911. So I listened. She asked me some questions. I answered best I could. But on August 31st, there's going to be a peer assessment of 911. The state's coming in to do, it's just do something, regulatory. That would give the sheriff, and I know I'm talking like I'm not here. I see you, Sheriff Campbell, I see you. So I apologize if I talk like you, I don't see you. That would give him ample time to get that report back. She said it'd take a couple of weeks, fold that into his plan, his vision, and share it with these citizens who are most going to be impacted. And their questions, see, rumors fly. So now everybody think, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, So I'm going to let the sheriff share with the citizens and the board. I agree we don't communicate effectively. I've said that from the beginning. We have little to no marketing. We have little to any public relations. The website is not up to date. We hear, but we don't listen. Facebook works 24/7, 30 days of the year, of the month. We got one shot at it, and that's this meeting. It's not acceptable to me, has never been acceptable to me. So on September the 21st at 5:30, the sheriff will come. I'm also asking that also the director of Board of Election provide an update of election procedures and any needs they may have so we can have a safe and secure election this fall. That I'm asking her, I think her name, Clytia Riddick, to come also on September the 21st and do a short presentation of any needs. She may need assistance from the county, and especially the Board of Commissioners. We need to know about polling spaces and all of that good stuff. On September the 7th, Green Engineering will be in attendance. That's the engineer we've we're partnering with to help us with our water and wastewater. That's the reason the two proposal new businesses were taken off. I've asked them to come when we visited with them a couple of weeks ago at the training for the application. We met them there. Brad Arnold, Commissioner Hoffman, and myself met with Green Engineering. All-day training. All day. All day. All day. One of the criteria for even applying for the grant to help with our water is that there are some stipulations that we cannot get away from. I'm asking Ms. Hurdle to please get this down. It has to be in the minutes. But one of the criteria was that the board had to go through training, because training and education, they found at the state level that sometimes counties and municipalities get money and they don't understand the funding, they don't understand what it's for, they get in trouble when they don't pay attention and adhere to the deadlines and due dates and other things. So one of the criteria was board training. In the last meeting, I requested that all the commissioners send me their name, which I already know, and their email address, which I already knew, and their phone number, which I already had. But I asked them to send that because I wanted to make sure that they understood, and I would have documentation of who signed up and went forth with the training. Now I'm going to read this statute. It's very short. Under North Carolina GS 159G-45, all local government units designated in distress must participate in the training and education program approved by SWIA, SWIA, and the local government commission. Training and educational programs impose costs on the local government. DWI proposes to recommend to SWIA and LGC an award of $2,000 for each local government unit designated as distressed for eligible training costs, reimbursements. The award will be used to reimburse relevant registration costs and knowledge costs incurred by utility staff and governing board members to attend training programs that are relevant to North Carolina General Statute 159G-32, parentheses D, activities. Funds from the 2000 grant must be expended within 2 years of award by December 30, 2026, if using ARPA funds, or prior to the local government unit completing the requirements of said statute, whichever comes first. I'm asking, and I will give this to you, Ms. Pam, so you have it. It's in the minutes, and this also must go in the minutes. The persons that were trained went to the training, and it was online. We had a choice between all-day training or online. That means you know, modules, you take it at your own pace, and at the end, you take a test at each module, and then you get a certificate. So I told the commissioners that were trained to try to get it done within the week so we can check that box and move on. Mr. Brad Arnold, the director of our public utilities, took the training. Had to. He's public utilities director. Ms. Kim Outland, the director of finances. Mandatory, both of them, because she's director of finances. The commissioners that were trained, Commissioner Hoffler, Commissioner Owens, and myself. I called Jennifer Haney, Haynie, and I said, what do we have to do? What's mandatory? She said it's mandatory to have your public utilities director, your finance director, and 2 elected officials. And she strongly advised that all board members be trained so they understand going forward. So this is a multi-year project. It's not going to happen overnight. The county manager is the overall project manager. Mr. Arnold is the liaison between what's going on the ground and what happens to what the county has to do. We're going to have to report monthly. I'm asking those that were trained to submit your payment receipts to Ms. Outland so that she can get reimbursement because we paid out of our pockets. They're going to reimburse us because we got the $2,000 grant. It was a given, but it's a $2,000 grant that we had to get. I'm also directing them to get their certificates and have it duplicated and put it in the files. We have a file issue in this county. Half the time we can't find what we had 5-10 years ago, and we have to start all over again, and that's a lot of work. So that's what I'm directing tonight in the files, Ms. Pam. Make note so that going down the road, there's no mistake of who was trained, and we can be qualified for that criteria. There will be a webinar that we must go through in October all day. And I think that's going to be on site instead of a webinar. I haven't seen the announcement come on the website yet. As far as broadband, I was on the phone this morning. I've shared with you that I'm the liaison for Gates County. They still have not released the rest of the great grant. And I was online this afternoon from 1 to 2 o'clock. I have a meeting on Friday in Windsor. I have a meeting at the end of the month with the head broadband gurus in Raleigh. It's going to be a Zoom meeting, and I'll be on that meeting. I am leading this broadband, and I'm keeping up with this broadband. And I've asked for help with this broadband, and I have received little to nothing. And I'm going to do it. I mean, I can do it. It's fine. But my point is this. You come at me because I use the personal pronoun I. Each one of these committees that sit, each one of the commissioners that sit on any board have committee assignments. But if I'm the only one there, I say I was there. And when I return, I give them notes so they know what's going on. If I have to go for a grant or write a grant, I have to get permission from the commissioners. I just can't go out and obligate us for grants. And I also can't go out and ask for money without a project. Some of the citizens can, I'm going to take my time since y'all took yours. Some of the citizens don't particularly care that we only got $250,000 for the community center. We couldn't get any more because we had no project to complete or fix the community center, so I used the school systems project and got that. And now I'm going to close with this so y'all can go home. This packet of information here that I'm holding up are all state and federal documents that were sent to this county in the last year, alerting us that our water and wastewater was in dire straits from, just different agencies that I had to sign off on in the county manager, because when they send it to the county manager, they send it to the board chair. So I can be aware, so I can share with the commissioners, because they don't want anybody thinking that, something's going on behind closed doors. So when I sign off on these documents, I'm saying we know, we hear you, we're going to do what we can. Some of these notices, and I'm just about through. The State Water Infrastructure Authority, the Viable Utilities Unit, the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, the Department of Environmental Quality, the Local Government Commission, State Water Infrastructure Authority Board, State Legislative Delegation, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Enforcement and Compliance Assurance Division, and assistance from our Council of Government, Albemarle Commission. But the most important communication was voiced and continued to be voiced from the citizens of Gates County that expect better water services across the board. Time and time again, the Board of Commissioners have had a steady stream of concerns with broken meters, broken water lines, inaccurate water bill charges, unclear financial practices, lack of transparency of water quality and water flow issues, and lack of enough staffing for processes to address reading the meters on time. That's what I heard long before being elected to this current board, long before I was elected unanimously by the board to serve as chair. And I continue to hear you. So that tells me that the citizens of Gates County want the water services fixed. For whatever reason, we did not or could not comprehensively resolve the many complexes but solvable issues. Hence, there were years of not assessing and addressing the entire system, inclusive of organizational, financial, and environmental structures. Now we have the opportunity of being listed on this distressed unit list. Sounds negative, doesn't it? And to some extent it is. Gates County does not want to be on any list that has a negative connotation. However, we are one of many counties and municipalities in the state that is so designated distressed, and with that designation comes a once-in-a-lifetime funding opportunity to comprehensively fix our water and wastewater situation. However, there are criteria we must meet to apply and qualify for whatever funding they deem necessary. Operational. How are we structured to address modern-day services? Do we have an adequate number of credentialed staff? Policies addressing accountability, compliance, continuing education and training, board governance and training, daily administrative oversight, etc. Financial. Adequate financial means to operate the system, cash flow, appropriate water rates and service charges, revenue recovery collection policy, etc. Environmental. We must be in compliance with infrastructure inclusive of water wells, the lines, and appropriate water volume, etc. Now, this board may not do everything the way many of the citizens want it done, but we have experts such as green engineering with degrees, experience, and solid references guiding us. They are assisting with developing a capital improvement plan. We have a new director of public utilities that is continuing to hire staff and make repairs and upgrades. We have resolved your concerns relative to billing and collections, and we will be in compliance. Our focus is to receive a grant to financially assist this county in comprehensively resolving the water system issues. We may not qualify for all the funds we need, but it will be a start and better than where we presently stand. You heard the list I read in the beginning. Every one of them is working to help not only Gates County, but all the counties and municipalities on the list, as well as trying to keep others off the list in the future. The major supporter needed are the citizens of Gates County. We need your support, patience, and civil communication as we move forward. One of the expectations of the state agencies is for counties to be able to sustain their own system in the future. But if we continue doing what we always have done, we will continue to get what we always have got. And I don't believe that it is what the majority of the citizens want or think I don't believe that. I think you want your infrastructure fixed. And we may not do it the way and in time like you want it done, but we're working on it. The LGC members also voted to designate 7 counties, and this is important. I'm reading this because I didn't make this up. And we are on this list. Beaufort, Carteret, Edgecombe, Gates, Nash, Stanley, and Vance counties. In Edenton, in Chowan County, Granite, Falls, and Caldwell County, and Madison, and Rockingham County, and Rutherford County, and Stovall and Granville County. Now, I read this in the minutes so that it could get in the minutes, because it has to be. Every first Wednesday in the month, we are having a special meeting. We're doing that to get things done and in the minutes in a timely manner. I hope that you will come to the meetings. They're at 6:30. We heard you when you said you wanted 6:30 dark time. Now, we're starting at 6:30 on the first Wednesday of each month. Now, I have been in meetings. I'm continually in meetings, and I'm going to continue to go. And let me say this. When I say I'm thinking about the Board of Commissioners. I'm not thinking about me personally. I told you before. I work at this pleasure of this board. And I know you don't believe it, but I can't help what you believe. I'm getting nothing out of this except to serve this county that I've lived in all of my life. I too have 2 children that graduated from the public school system and moved away and are doing well. I too worked outside this county and brought back funds to this county. And no, as long as I have citizens that I know are quiet and will not come to the podium but tell me that, they support us, somebody's got to get this done. I appreciate you coming. Call me anytime, and I'll tell you the best I can. But housing, broadband, economic development, and especially infrastructure, water and wastewater, are the 4 focuses that we have as a board. And anybody doubts that, you can call me anytime, and I'll share. But I don't believe the majority of these citizens don't want their water and wastewater and housing and other things to improve in this county. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.